think this is the second, I'll call it the third business development show. And again, my name is Theo Tor. I'm the owner of RTS. Y'all see the triangles. Pyramid stand for building something that's lasting. We still have pyramids to this day. The reason we're having this show today is if we're talking business development, I feel there's a lot of people out there that don't know the first steps to getting their business started. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. One of the first steps to getting your business started in America, and that's registering with the federal government. So America, yes, it's a country, but it's also organized like a business. And you have the federal government and you have the state government, and then under the state you have counties or boroughs, and then you have cities, and break it down to the lowest municipality level. Today, we're looking at the highest municipality level in the federal government, which is registering your business with the IRS. And a lot of people don't know that your business can be registered with the IRS online. So that's what we're going to get into today, registering your business with the IRS online. I believe it can only be done between the hours of 7 to 8 Pacific Standard Time, and 6 to 8 Pacific Standard Time, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if I'm going to be more exact, and that's Monday through Friday. You can do it online. So we're going to walk through the steps today to get your business registered online. So the first thing to do is go to irs.gov. When you go to irs.gov, in the search bar, you're going to type in EIN. EIN is like your social security number for your business, or some people say business. It's your social security number for your business or your brand new baby that you're launching. And today, I'm going to show you how to register a business by me registering my new project called Ramadi Days. Ramadi Days is a historical retelling of the time that I spent as an infantryman in Ramadi, Iraq. So I'm going to register that business as an LLC today with the federal government as an example of how you too can register your business with the federal government. So, okay, first step again, you're going to go to irs.gov and you're going to type EIN. EIN stands for Employer or Employment Identification Number. If you are going to have employees in the future, or if you're going to be considered an employee of your business has to have an EIN. If you're a sole proprietorship, I think they just use your social. But again, today we're registering an LLC with the federal government. So once you type EIN, it's going to pull up information on what an EIN is and what it does for your organization. Again, employer identification number. Sometimes people call it a TIN, tax identification number, but for the purposes of today, we're going to call it an EIN. So once you type EIN in the search bar, then the irs.gov is going to pull up the EIN page for you. When it pulls up the EIN page for you, you're going to go ahead and click on that. You're going to click on the first one, employer identification number, and it's going to give you way more information on what an EIN actually is, who needs an EIN. It's going to give you a whole lot of information. I suggest that you read through that. I've read through that several times, and it's nothing but good information. So once you read through that information, once you're familiar with why you need an EIN, then you're going to scroll back up the page and you're going to click apply online. And again, when you're applying online, it's between the hours of 6 to 8 Pacific Standard Time. And you're going to click on the next link that says apply for an EIN. You're going to read that information again, and you're going to scroll to the bottom of the page, and you're going to begin your application. So when you're starting your application, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right here. There's different legal structures you can apply for. There's sole proprietor. So if you are cutting grass, if you're a shade tree mechanic, if you are cooking for your local church or preparing meals and getting paid for that, technically you are a sole proprietorship right now, and you can apply for a sole proprietorship. Today, we're going to apply for a limited liability company, We're not going to apply for partnership. We're not going to apply for corporations. We're not going to apply for trust. Trust is a very good organization to apply for. Again, there's just more requirements for registering as a trust. Today, we're applying as a limited liability company. You can apply as an estate, and you can view additional type structures like 501c if you want to register a nonprofit. Again, today we are only doing limited liability company. So read more about what a limited liability company and LLC is and how that protects your person from lawsuits. If anyone wants to go after your company, it keeps them from going after you. Now, when you're applying for an LLC, if you have more than one member in your LLC, then you're like a true LLC. But if you're a sole member LLC, in some cases, you're treated as a what they call a disregarded LLC or a single member LLC. So again, Ramadi Days, the LLC that I'm registering today, I am the only member in the LLC. So I'm putting down number one. Now, here's the funny thing. If you're not an individual, if you're another LLC, you can register an LLC. If you're a nonprofit, you can register an LLC. But again, I am a single member LLC that I'm registering today. So keep on going. They'll ask you what state that you're eventually going to apply and register, because remember, you have to register on the federal level. That's what we're doing today. But then you also have to register on the state level. So I'm going to be applying in California. I'm going to be organized in California. So I chose California. Go ahead and resume the video. They ask you for more information. Why is a single? Why are we requesting an EIN? So there's so many reasons you can purposes. I'm starting a new business, so that's why I'm requesting the EIN. So I'll go ahead and fill that out. I click that radio box. Let's see. I'm clicking started a new business out of all of the options there. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue. Okay. So then what's going to happen is it's going to take us to a screen where we start entering our personal information. Because I'm a person managed LLC, I'm going to put in my social security number. If I were an organization that's registering this LLC, where it says TIN, I would put in my TIN. And again, TIN stands for tax identification number, AKA employer identification number. So if you are a corporation, or if you're any other structure, or if you're any other legal structure that's non-individual, you don't have to put your social security number down in that box. You can put down your tax identification number in that box. They'll also ask you to put in the first name and what role you're holding in the LLC. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that information. I'm going to enter in all my personal information, and it's going to bring me to the next field where I enter additional details. They want to know more about the LLC. What's the name of the LLC? So the name of, and here's the important thing. When you're registering an LLC, in most states, when you apply for, or when you organize as an LLC, you have to append the acronym LLC in the should be working properly now. All right. So we had a little bit of technical difficulty. The other camera I was using to broadcast died, but now we're back. Getting back to the screen, I added LLC to the end of my business name because later on down the road, when I register to do business with the federal government is going to use two documents to grant me vendor status. They're going to use my EIN letter, and then they're also going to use my articles of organization. So whatever name that's on my EIN letter has to be the same as my name on my articles of organization. When I register in California or most states, when I register, they're going to append whatever my legal organization is to the end of my business name. So if I'm registering as an LLC in California, and I say the name of my LLC is Ramadi Days, California is going to give me articles of organization with the letters LLC at the end. So to not run into a nightmare of trying to prove to the federal government I am who I say I am, I'm just going to handle all of that right now by putting LLC at the end of my name that I'm registering for my EIN. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And if it doesn't, or if you have any more questions, you can reach out to me at t.tour@YESRTS and also on my socials. We can set up a meeting to plan properly to where you can enter the government space as a profitable government contractor. All right, so let me resume the video. So I put Ramadi Days LLC. Then they're going to ask me for the county I'm registering in, San Diego County. They're going to ask me for the state I'm registering in, California. They're going to ask me for the state the articles of organization is going to be filed in. That's going to be California again. So real quick, let me rewind a little bit. They asked me for the state where the business is located. I'm going to say California. They're going to ask me for the state where I'm going to be filing my articles of organization. When you form a limited liability company, you file for articles of organization. In Texas and in some other states, it's called your certificate of formation. The federal government considers this as articles. If you're filing as a corporation, it's called your articles of incorporation, but LLC is known as your articles of organization. You can be located in Hawaii, you can be located in Florida and still file your articles of organization in a different state. So it's very important to understand the nuance between the two. The first question is asking you, where is your company located, physically located? And the second one is asking you, where are you filing your articles of organization? I hope that makes sense to y'all. Okay, moving on down, they're going to ask for the year that the company started. So I'm going to put March 2026, the month and year. And then they ask you questions to see if you're, company that requires more regulation or special licenses or certificates. You selling tobacco, wacky tobacco. You selling tobacco. Are you doing gambling? Are you filing a quarterly excise tax? Are you manufacturing alcohol, tobacco, or firearms? And are you going to have employees? So you go ahead and answer that in the radio buttons. And then the next screen they bring you to is additional details where you put in information on your, I think in the video when I was recording it, I hit back instead of hitting forward. So again, I put in the information that's important to my company, basically county that it's located, state that is located, the territory that I'm filing articles of organization, because that's state level registration. We're just doing federal today. You still got to go and do state. Very important to remember, whatever you do in federal, you have to do in state, because you have to pay federal taxes and you have to pay state taxes. So again, you answer the questions, then you hit continue. And they bring you to additional questions. They're trying to ask you, okay, what type of business are you? So I'm another type of business because I'm opening my business as a historian business. I'm going into the history of the time that I was in I was in Iraq. At the time I was a Marine, the war that we fought in the Middle East, because I feel it's pertinent today, considering that's how we're fighting another war in the Middle East that's going to last forever. And people don't really understand the effects of war. So I hit other, and they want to know more about my business activities. So more about my business activities. Again, I'm going to go down, I'm going to hit other, and then they're going to ask me, okay, well, what is the other? And I'm going to put in historian, because that's what I am. It's the history of my time in the Marine Corps. All right. I feel like that is it. And then we have a review page where we're going to review the legal structure, all the information we entered. And this is very important. This is very, very important. Let me go back to that. The IRS, after you're done with this application, they're going to ask you, do you want us to mail you your letter, or do you want to receive your letter digitally? Hit digitally, because after you hit submit at the bottom of the screen, they send you they basically give you proof of your letter to download, which is a whole lot better, in my opinion, than waiting for snail mail. Let's go to the next scene. So next screen, we just have different screenshots of. It's funny because the thing I'm using to broadcast to y'all, it flip the script. All right. So again, just reviewing the information before I hit submit. Review the information. And again, I asked to have my letter downloaded and sent to me. Very important, because anything can happen with snail mail, and business is war. And if you're going to be a war fighter, one of the most important parts of fighting the war is moving with speed and surprise. So you want to move things as fast as possible, especially in this digital world. All right. So I reviewed my information. Everything was good. And I clicked submit EIN request. And then on the next scene, they gave me my letter. I downloaded it, and this is how an EIN request letter looks. So that's going to be the end of our discussion today. And again, let's see how long this lasted. This lasted like 18 minutes. It's probably going to be like 20 minutes. So thank you for all of you that watched. We are next video we have, we're going to go through how to organize your business. Now that you've received your EIN, how to organize your business in your state, because you have to file for your business in your state with the Secretary of State. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Once you file with the federal government and your state government, some counties require that you file with them. Some cities require that you file with them. So depending on the municipality you live in, we're going to show you all those steps. If you guys have any questions or would like for me to cover any business development steps, go ahead and reach out to me. You guys can also comment on this video. I'll read the comments, whether it's on YouTube or whatever platform it's on. But again, now more than ever is the time to be a business owner. A little bit about my history. I was doing bodyguard work. It got a little bit dangerous. I had a bunch of kids, a bunch of daughters, and I wanted to make sure that I worked to make something of my own instead of working to make somebody else rich. So in doing that, I started a business in 2018. I learned the ups and downs of running the business. My business is still here today, still running strong. And I've moved from managing my own contracts to teaching other people how to win in the government space. My clients are winning. My clients love me. And I just want to make sure that I'm reaching as many people as I can, let them know that there is another lane, especially today. If you've always thought about how can I sell my products and services to the United States government, how can I increase my bottom line? How can I reach more clients? America is the biggest purchaser. They did over $10 trillion last year. They did close to 10 trillion year before. They're going to do well over 10 trillion this year. And for small businesses just starting out, 5% of that, a little bit over $500 billion is set aside for small businesses. Out of that $500 billion, only about $27 billion gets used. So there's all this money that's left on the table every year because people don't have the knowledge. So I'm putting the knowledge out there. Again, my name is Theo Torre, name of my company. Artias, y'all see the double triangles.